They are impressed, not confused, not indifferent right now, in a place you are not considering. Someone with genuine influence, true reach, and actual weight in a room is discussing you. Not your actual name necessarily, but your energy, your valuable energy, your direction, and the manner in which you have been operating lately. It is as if high-status people are observing you. And the crazy part is that you are the sole person in this entire scenario who still believes you are invisible. All right, let us just sit with that for a moment because I need you to genuinely feel it rather than just hear it. You enter spaces believing you are mere background noise, just another face, another name on a roster, another individual simply trying to survive the week or the day without everything falling apart. Meanwhile, somewhere out there, individuals with real power, people who manage corporations, sit on boards of directors, and have constructed entire ecosystems around themselves, are monitoring your movements quietly and carefully, the way you observe weather rolling in on the horizon, uncertain yet whether it will simply pass by or develop into something massive. You assume you are insignificant. They consider you a question they are unable to stop asking themselves. Here is what nobody tells you about individuals who have truly achieved something. They do not just watch predictable people. They do not waste their limited attention on someone who blends into the background. High-status individuals, yes, high-status individuals, those who have built something authentic, they possess radar, yes, radar specifically for one thing, potential that has not yet been cashed in. And you, whether you realize it or not, have been triggering that radar for some time now. Think back to the last time you walked into a location, work, a gathering, or whatever, and something felt slightly off in a way you could not quite explain. Conversations paused for half a second. Someone straightened up in their chair. Someone else glanced away a bit too closely and a little too quickly, as if they'd been caught staring. You likely brushed it aside. You told yourself you were just being paranoid, that people were merely busy, and that nothing was actually taking place. Yet something was indeed happening. You entered the room and the atmosphere shifted around you, and you labeled it awkward when it was truly recognition. Yes, recognition, because here is what is really occurring. Individuals who have established any degree of genuine status develop an instinct over time. They learn to read energy prior to titles, understand survival before success, and recognize resilience ahead of achievement. They have been burned by polished people who look wonderful on paper, but collapse the moment circumstances grow difficult. Consequently, they stop. Yes, they stop trusting the superficial shine. They begin looking for something entirely different. The quiet ones who have clearly endured hardship and remain standing, still functioning, and clears throat, continuing forward without making a grand spectacle of it. That describes you. That is precisely what they noticed. Let us be honest about your journey for a moment, because it matters here. Nobody handed you your opportunities on a silver platter. You had to dig to unearth them with your hands, with your bare hands. One uncomfortable conversation, one late night, one instance of choosing the difficult path when the easy option was right there waiting. Nobody constructed a safety net for you. Therefore, you became your own, on your own terms. You always were. Nobody laid out the rules clearly for you. Hence, you figured them out through trial and a significant amount of error. And now comes the twist that should honestly make you laugh a little. Those exact same individuals who once walked right past you without a second glance are the ones tracking your progress now, as if you were some rare extraterrestrial. They are trying to figure you out, because status ultimately does not care where you began. It cares about where you are headed. And lately, you have been moving toward a that makes comfortable, average, play-it-safe people nervous, while entirely fascinating those who have actually built something for themselves. You stepped into a path Nobody provided for you and claimed it through sheer stubbornness. Yes, through stubbornness, you made moves without possessing the complete picture. And somehow, you still projected an appearance of knowing precisely where you were headed. That confidence and certainty represent the single most magnetic quality a human being can project. And you have been exhibiting it without even recognizing it as a superpower. It is a genuine superpower. Do you know what else gets noticed? How you never fell apart publicly. You do not rant. You do not beg people for validation. You do not sit around explaining yourself to individuals who are never capable of understanding you in the first place. You simply keep moving forward, quiet, steady, and unshaken on the surface, even when chaos reigns underneath. Individuals who have climbed high enough to view the entire board recognize that instantly because they know precisely how rare it is. Most people crumble long before coming anywhere close to their intended destination. You have not, and that fact alone places you on a very exclusive list of people worth watching. Here is something that might catch you slightly off guard. Some of these high-status individuals are not merely watching you passively, like background entertainment. They are actually waiting on you, waiting to observe your next move, waiting to see whether you step forward into what you clearly can become or retreat into what feels safe and familiar. They are waiting to see if you finally wake up to the magnitude of the weight you are currently carrying. Because right now you walk around as though you do not even realize you are holding something heavy and valuable. And listen, the world did not overlook you by accident. It was not hiding you out of cruelty. It was setting a stage, building tension, and creating this extended stretch of quiet before something loud occurs. Because people who have remained at the top long enough develop a keen sense for precisely this phenomenon. They can sense when someone is on the verge of a breakthrough long before it becomes obvious to anyone else. Sometimes even before it is apparent to the person experiencing it. You have essentially been walking around like an unread plot twist. People do not know the details of your capabilities, yet they recognize something is coming. They know and can feel that your story is not entirely predictable. An upcoming chapter is set to surprise people, and somewhere out there, individuals already sense it. And here is the element that should genuinely shake you a little if you truly let it sink in. Some of these people are rooting for you, sincerely hoping you succeed, while others, frankly speaking, feel slightly uneasy about it, or perhaps even hoping you fail. Yet every single one of them is watching. That is not an empty form of attention. That is real. There are eyes on your path from angles you cannot even picture. Conversations are taking place in rooms you have never entered, places where individuals are trying to figure out how someone with your specific intensity appeared seemingly out of nowhere, and perhaps right now you are sitting there thinking, "Ah, that is not me. I do not feel powerful. I do not feel special. I feel like I am just trying to get through my week without losing my mind." And that is precisely why they are watching, because you are real in a world completely drowning in performance. You are raw within a world of carefully curated personas. You are unpredictable in a society that operates almost entirely on standard scripts. Everyone follows without a second thought. And you are rising in a world where most people plant their feet and refuse to move again. Your presence disrupts the narrative people find comfortable. Your existence quietly challenges expectations without you even trying. Your energy gets tracked because it simply does not fit into any of the boxes people are accustomed to sorting others into. You believe you are just trying to survive your day. Meanwhile, somewhere out there, someone is observing you as though you might flip the entire board over while you genuinely remain completely unaware. Here is something wild to contemplate. Your smallest, most forgettable decisions are being noticed and magnified through lenses you will probably never even know exist. analyzed by individuals who calculate everything, plan every move 3 steps ahead, and never take a single action without running the numbers first. And then there is you, moving with this raw, unfiltered instinct that constantly throws their entire calculated approach off balance. You have likely experienced moments where you made a choice that even you did not fully plan out, and somehow it landed perfectly. That is the exact factor that drives calculated people slightly crazy because they live and die by patterns and predictability, whereas you represent something closer to controlled chaos with a clear direction. You shift the entire mood of a room merely by existing within it without uttering a single word. And that unpredictability is precisely why people with status cannot stop watching. You are the puzzle they cannot solve. What most people fail to understand is that this type of presence does not stem from comfort. It originates from survival. You forged your backbone somewhere quiet, somewhere nobody was applauding you. You built the resilience in the dark during stretches of time when no one else was watching. You developed whatever confidence you possess now through situations that would have entirely swallowed many other people whole. And when a person is forged in that manner, they carry themselves differently for the remainder of their life. You carry history in how you view things. You carry old scars in your posture, even if nobody can pinpoint their exact location. You carry stories that no one around you actually knows, and somehow everyone around you can still feel a shift when you walk by, even if they could not explain what it is if asked directly. Let us be real for a moment, because this deserves to be spoken aloud. You have likely always known deep down that you were not built for some simple, quiet, predictable life. Not because you were chasing attention, but because life kept handing you experiences that simply did not match what an ordinary path looks like. Life repeatedly placed you in situations where you had to mature faster than felt fair. Think on your feet, adapt on a dime, react before you felt ready. Life kept pushing you right to the edge over and over, until standing on that precipice began to feel almost normal to you. And individuals who have climbed high themselves respect edgewalkers. They respect people who did not collapse under pressure that would have flattened most others. They pay extremely close attention to anyone who appears to thrive under the exact conditions that break other people. Because deep down, they know those are the individuals who ultimately rise the highest. And here is something you have likely never spoken aloud to a single soul. You intimidate people who technically possess more status than you, yet have far less actual strength. People with more money than you, but only a fraction of your resilience. Individuals with more connections than you, but nowhere near the sense of purpose you carry. And the reason they watch you is that you remind them of something they lost within themselves long ago. You represent a hunger they no longer have access to. You represent a type of courage they once needed, but traded away for comfort somewhere along the way. You represent an authenticity, a quality that many successful people quietly surrendered in exchange for status. You disrupt their sense of certainty simply by being who you are, and they genuinely cannot look away. Have you ever wondered why certain individuals act slightly strangely around you for no apparent reason? Why some people treat you like a threat, even when you have not done a single thing to warrant it? Why tension fills a room, even when you are just standing there quietly? It is because your presence, who you are, exposes something true, and truth makes people uncomfortable. Your existence forces individuals to quietly confront their own limitations, whether they wish to or not. Your energy reminds them of who they secretly pretend to be versus who they actually are underneath it all. And high-status individuals are absolutely not immune to that. If anything, they feel it even more acutely because they have spent years constructing an image, and something within you cuts right through images. They can sense when someone possesses the latent power or potential to eventually surpass whatever expectations were set for them. They can sense when a trajectory fails to match a current position, when someone is clearly destined for somewhere much greater than their current standing. And you, whether you feel it or not, move like someone about to leap rather than someone taking a cautious little step. They monitor your path closely because they know that the moment you stop underestimating yourself, the moment you stop second-guessing your own voice, and the moment you stop making yourself smaller than you truly are, you will enter rooms you never even imagined existed. You will move through spaces that other people simply cannot handle. You will rise in a manner that cannot be quietly explained away or denied. They are studying the exact moment prior to the shift occurring, the moment right before the breakthrough, right before that quiet voice in your own head finally declares, "Wait, everything I went through was not random. It was preparation." Individuals with real influence are watching you because your story clearly deviates from the ordinary arc everyone expects. It builds tension as though something significant is preparing to happen, and they can feel the weight of that momentum building. Even if you cannot quite perceive it yourself yet, you assume you are unnoticed. You think you are unimportant, quietly living your life in the background. Yet you are actually a major conversational piece and a rising variable that nobody has quite figured out how to categorize. A developing force that people keep tabs on because something within you is clearly preparing to break loose. And that is not because you are small, but because something inside you is getting ready to erupt. And the strange part is that you continue walking around, trying not to bump into anyone, attempting not to take up too much space, so that everyone else remains happy and comfortable, trying to keep everything calm and quiet, while your entire presence essentially shouts transformation and elevation without your permission. Have you ever stopped midday and felt this strange pressure right in your chest as though something is shifting, yet you cannot quite name it? That is not anxiety attempting to trip you up. That is your entire life quietly rearranging itself behind the scenes. That is your path widening out whether you can perceive it yet or not. That is space being cleared for a version of yourself you have not yet fully stepped into. Yes, high-status individuals can sense that type of momentum in others almost instinctively before it even becomes visible to the rest of the world. And right now, you carry momentum that genuinely fails to match your current surroundings. You carry a presence that outpaces your current circumstances. You carry potential that clearly transcends the level where you happen to be standing at this exact moment. And they feel that mismatch often more acutely than you feel it yourself. That is precisely why some of them stare a bit too long, why some quietly keep tabs from a safe distance, and why certain people around you suddenly act a little cold, somewhat awkward, or oddly curious about your smallest actions. You are not random to them. You are not background noise to them. You are not invisible. You are a developing storm that they have been quietly tracking for a while now. And here is something somewhat uncomfortable to sit with. Your own humility sometimes blinds you to the actual impact you are already making. You assume you are merely existing day to day, but you are actively influencing people around you without even trying. You think you are just surviving, but you are actually leading by example whether anyone acknowledges it aloud or not. You believe you are simply figuring things out as you go, but you are actually inspiring individuals who will likely never openly admit that to your face. There are people with real status, authentic connections, and genuine reputations who are quietly observing the way you keep putting one foot in front of the other. Even on the days when you are exhausted, even on the days you feel completely uncomfortable and unsure of yourself, and even on the days when nobody around you fully understands the weight you carry. The fact that you do not quit and refuse to let the world entirely break you, even when it has had ample opportunity to do so, does not go unnoticed. They also observe how you operate largely without a support system, how you navigate without a real safety net most of the time, how you think for yourself instead of constantly outsourcing your decisions to whoever happens to be loudest in the room, how you refrain from chasing approval and refuse to perform for anyone's benefit. Do you understand how rare that truly is? How intimidating that is to individuals who build their entire identity upon validation from others? People who have achieved true levels of status are not actually fascinated by perfection. Perfection is common, manufactured, and everywhere. What genuinely fascinates them is authenticity, grit, your unique gift, and someone who keeps rising without asking anyone's permission first. You are being observed because you represent an entirely different kind of person, someone whose confidence did originate from constant praise, someone whose strength did not come from comfort, someone whose clarity didn't arise from being carefully guided every step of the way. Everything you possess has been built from the inside out, mostly in silence and largely without an audience, and high-status individuals can sense that instantly. It registers like a quiet alarm somewhere in the back of their minds. They cannot always explain why they notice you, but they observe the way you carry yourself as though you have survived things that lack proper names. The way you speak as though you have tasted real consequences and still manage to keep your dignity intact through all of it. The way you look at the world as though you know precisely how difficult it can become, yet you still choose every single day to keep going anyway. And that right there is the true reason your path is subjected to this type of quiet observation. You are unpredictable in the best sense of the word. You are resilient in a way that cannot be faked. You are not for sale, not swayed by fears, not chasing status for its own sake, and not dependent upon anyone else's validation to recognize your own worth. That combination makes you genuinely rare, and rare things are watched closely. Some people admire what you are building. Some individuals genuinely and quietly envy it. Others are honestly a little afraid of what you might eventually become. Yet every single one of them pays attention whether they admit it or not. And here is perhaps the wildest part of this entire phenomenon. You are currently operating on merely a fraction of what you are actually capable of achieving. Let me stop right here. You move through your days, utilizing perhaps a tenth of your real power, and even that small fraction is already unsettling individuals who have spent years building a reputation for being completely unshakable. That is what is truly being monitored. Not just who you are right now, but who you are clearly becoming without even trying terribly hard yet.